All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Job and Internship Search Strategies. My name is Cindy Strobridge, Director of Employer Relations and Special Events in Mercer Center for Career and Professional Development. I will be your moderator for today. At this time, please make sure you're in listen-only mode and your video is turned off. We hope this webinar will last about 40 to 45 minutes, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have at the end. If you do have a question, please feel free to submit that at any time during this presentation in the Zoom group chat box, and I'll be monitoring that. And again, we will answer at the end. As you can see, we're being recorded, and this recording will be up later today on our YouTube channel. And I'll happily send this link out to everyone who has joined us as well. Now, let me introduce both of our presenters today. We have my wonderful colleague, Kim Meredith, and my other great colleague, Ann Kelly. Ann and Kim, go ahead and take it away for us.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim Meredith, and I work in the Center for Career and Professional Development with a great team of career development experts. I'm really excited about today's topic. It's like the #1 thing we do in the Career Center here at Mercer. And so, for today's webinar, I'm joined by Ann Kelly, and she will take over at a certain portion of our presentation today. And we're both eager to share with you, and we'll be addressing your questions toward the end. But let's just share a few things right off the bat here. The goals for the webinar really is just to share keys for a successful job and internship search. We bring to the table, 20 plus years of experience in job search, internship search, and that really spans from a very wide array of job seekers, from a very first year undergraduate student to seeing them through the internship search, to graduation, to career launchers who are launching their career for the very first time, relaunchers, career changers, and career advancers. This team has served all kinds of Mercerians in various stages of the job search. So we hope to bring our years of expertise here to you today and provide tips for a successful search. So the first topic that I'd like to talk about, and this is going to be my portion of the presentation, and we're going to discuss internship and how to prepare for that search. And I have to tell you, the #1 thing that you have to really pause and do is ask yourself, what do I want? Okay, this is going to be step #1 in your preparation for your job or internship. Honestly, this is a topic that really causes, I think, a little bit of anguish, because not a lot of job seekers can really articulate exactly what they want, whether it's an internship or a job search. And I should tell you right here at the beginning of our webinar, those two words are interchangeable, really. Internship search and job search, the steps are the same. Most internships now are paid, so essentially they are a job. They're just temporary, if you will. And so if I use the language job search, internship search, I'm sure Ann would agree, this is really the same process. And hitting the pause button at the beginning to explore what you want is a must, because the job and internship search process is going to expect you to be able to articulate this. So it's going to take some research, perhaps, looking beyond maybe some of those core career fields that you and I both hear of all the time, to explore the world of work and really taking time to unearth what else is out there that I may not know about. Where can I use my degree or broaden my discipline? What sorts of things interest me? How can I use my skills and my interests? This is first. If you are in need of some direction in this area, the CCBD team at Mercer University is fully equipped to help you with this career exploration piece. We have assessments to offer you. We're great at guiding conversations in a very purposeful manner to help you. Here are 2 tools that you can access on your own. The What Can I Do with This Major tool lives on the assessment page of our career website. And you see the URL here. Our main homepage is career.mercer.edu. And what can I do with this major has to be accessed from the Mercer domain due to a subscription that we subscribe to each year. This is an amazing tool that lists so many some academic majors, and really offers you a vast list of areas, industries, and core career functions for your major. So no matter your major, I believe you could find it on this list, and it links you to professional associations and exploring galore. Before you know it, you'll have 5 or 6 tabs open. On the other side of the screen, you'll see the personality assessment called AchieveWorks. Now, this is a free personality assessment. It's not a career assessment. It's not going to give you some sort of perfect list of what you should go become, but rather a personality preferences insight. And so this lives in your Handshake account. Again, it's free. You'll click the Career Center link inside Handshake, and then you'll click Resources. And then you'll scroll down until you see Assessments. AchieveWorks can be launched from a link that lives right in there. This is free and accessible to all Mercer students. The two tools together, I think, really couple nicely to help you make an informed choice about your search. In terms of timeline, in an ideal world, which we know we don't live in every single day, I'd love for you to have at least 5 months for your search. So for example, when we gave this presentation in January, this rolled out nicely to say January, February, March, and April. These are the months we want you to prepare for your internship search if you're searching for an internship for summer 21. I should first say internships are offered at all times of the year, so it's not just in summer. But if we use this timeline as an example for the summer search, you would clearly start in January. Now, again, we don't always live in a perfect world. We rarely live in a perfect world. So I do want you to see the steps involved with a fully robust search, and those are to prepare your search, and that's what we're talking about now. To spend time applying for various opportunities, and that can usually take a month or two, so continue applying, and then contemplating your interview preparation and then offers, and deciding what internship you'll accept, and then of course readying yourself. That may involve making a temporary move in the summer. It may involve going to a city where you have family or something like that, but there's a readiness at the very final stage of that. So my message to you right now is, in this preparation stage, or really whatever stage you're in, understanding that your months may be winding down now, but you still have to prepare really superior marketing collateral. And when I say marketing collateral, this is your resume. Essentially, it's a brochure. It's going to give the highlights of your achievements, contributions, and experiences, not only in the world of work for paid experiences, but also unpaid experiences, even study abroad or internships. Anything you've done that maybe have been unpaid in the past can also be considered. You'll want to have a very tailored and customized resume, as well as cover letter. We have resources on our website for those at career.mercer.edu if you'd like to access those. But also to think about your LinkedIn profile. Students ask us every day, do I have to use LinkedIn? Well, the answer is no, you don't have to use LinkedIn, but in today's modern job search, I think it would behoove you to do that. LinkedIn is a very powerful networking tool. It can even help you connect with Mercer alum, which I love. And it's very essential, I believe, in today's very virtual networking environment that we're living in right now. So I'm sort of giving a much stronger urge now to job seekers. If you've ever needed LinkedIn, surely it's now. So I would ask you to consider it. And also your recommendations. You're going to need recommendations for your internship or job search. So to think about who those people are that can represent you well to a hiring and decision maker. So here are some common resume mistakes to avoid. I'm just going to put them all on the screen. Oops. Unprofessional email address. We recommend that you take a close look at your email if you're deciding to use your personal email. It's strongly recommended that you use your Mercer email address. That's an email address you can keep after graduation. A lot of students don't realize that. It does communicate your institution of higher education, which I think is a strong part of your brand. And it tends to be a cleaner email account in terms of keeping track of your job search. The second mistake I have on the screen is failing to address the keywords from the position description. And this is even for internships as well. Always read the position description very, very closely, noting the needs which you'll see in the keywords. Avoid typos and writing errors. Those can screen you right out of any candidate pool. Inserting your photo into your resume. That is not recommended in today's job search. Or mislabeling your Mercer degree or major. If you're not sure of the exact wording, please do look that up. So how can you find an internship? Of course, here at Mercer University, we're using the Handshake Career Development Platform. And every enrolled student at Mercer has Handshakes. Of course, it's top on our list. We know that Handshake is not going to be the end-all be-all to everyone's search, but we certainly believe that it is a powerful tool in your pocket, so to speak. And if you're not already leveraging Handshake to the fullest extent, I hope today's webinar will help impress upon you the need to do so. We are connected to really about 12,000 employers in Handshake, and we post about 2,500 jobs and or internships per month. So it proves to be an incredibly useful tool. Professional organizations. Of course, students can consider a professional organization. Most of them offer a student level membership. That can be a phenomenal place to find an internship or a job. Don't forget the good old fashioned way of just Googling or using your favorite search engine to find opportunities. It's okay to say marketing internships in Dallas, Texas, for example. See what the results yield you. Feel free to use your favorite job boards. I hear of a lot of candidates seeking and using Indeed. I like Indeed. There are so many more. We won't have time today to talk about those, but if you have a favorite job board that you have joined, please do use it. But don't forget the importance of identifying target employers. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot about that today in our webinar, and just really maybe bookmarking and using that list of employers' websites and going straight to the source. Internships.com is a wonderful tool for posting legitimate internships. Don't forget your networking, and that means thinking intentionally beyond your first tier of networking connections and thinking, who do I know, but also thinking, who do I know that knows someone? It's often that a second or third tier of your network can help you the most. And don't forget to inquire with employers you may be interested in on your own, even if there is not an official internship posting. So in terms of networking, the 5 F's just can't be said enough. Think about friends, your family of friends, your friends of family, and faculty here at Mercer. These are powerful allies in your search at any stage of your career. Again, Mercer is using the Handshake tool, and we have the URL on the screen. Certainly, if you feel like it now on your phone or device, you can pull that up. If you've not activated your account, it's there for you, just like any of the services at Mercer, but it's just a little dormant. So I encourage you today to log in and build out your profile if you haven't already, and make that tool as robust as possible. Because next we're going to talk about the smart strategies with finding a job or an internship using the Handshake tool. And yesterday's newsletter spoke a great deal. If you're receiving your Handshake notices in your email, they come out every week. These newsletters have an immense amount of resources and links for you that teach you how to use the Handshake tool very wisely. We've had Handshake at Mercer for about 4 years, and I've been very, very impressed at all that Handshake thinks about in the developing of this tool to help our students and alumni find jobs and internships. So to let you know right off the bat, Handshake Profile is going to be your first call to action. because we know that students with a full profile are 5 times as likely to be messaged by employers. So right away, you're hearing that messaged by employers, and that should alert you that this does operate a little bit like a mini LinkedIn, in that it can connect you to students and alumni of Mercer University, as well as employers. So employers have a way to directly message you and to see your resume if you have it marked visible inside Handshake. And that's a setting, and we can talk about that in just a second. And there is a profile meter on your profile landing page that tells you, just like LinkedIn, how much you have to complete. I encourage you to bring that to 100%. You'll have a much better Handshake experience. Because Handshake is using data intelligence to make recommendations to you on your landing page about things it thinks that your discipline or your user profile would be interested in. It's sort of like Spotify or Netflix or any of these things that are really curating a list of things for you. But if you're not telling Handshake enough about you in the profile, certainly what you get is not as customized to your needs and your search. So again, spend time making your profile as robust as possible. In terms of visibility, this Handshake settings is going to be something else I'll bring your attention to right here at the beginning of the search talk. When you click your account icon in the top right and you bring down the menu to settings, you'll see a screen that looks similar to this. Now, there are 3 settings in Handshake. One is highly recommended, and that's the community setting. The community setting will allow students and alumni and employers to see your resume if you have that marked visible, to view your profile, and to communicate with you. Now, if your Handshake profile is not quite ready for that, you certainly may mark it private, but your Handshake profile does default to the community setting when we initially create that account for you. But take a look at your settings, make sure that you have it on community when you're ready. Here's an example screenshot of the documents upload page inside of Handshake. And I just include this screenshot here to reaffirm that you can have multiple documents uploaded into Handshake. As you'll see, this sample has many resumes and about 4 cover letters, and it also has an unofficial transcript uploaded. And you'll also see a little bit over to the right that there is a category called on profile, where there's a little check that beside the word visible. You can mark one of your resumes visible for employers to see. There's also a category on the very far right under status that says reviewed. And what that means is that the Career Center staff here at Mercer University has reviewed your document and sort of given it the green light for it to be utilized inside Handshake. When you upload a resume or a cover letter, our team is automatically prompted to give you a basic review of your document. We do that generally in under 5 minutes, so it is not a deep content analysis. But we do often mark those with an indication that's called changes suggested. If you get an indication in your Handshake account called changes suggested, then we always give you tips via email or right there in the Handshake messaging as to what we believe will enhance your document. For an internship search, here's a screenshot of Handshake. And I want to point out right away that Handshake's menu at the top left is going to be called jobs, but jobs and internships are housed in that menu category. So I have that highlighted here. Just click jobs and then choose the filter for internships, or later when we talk about job search, full-time job or whatever you're looking for. There are several robust filters that you can choose to filter your results. When you get your results, for example, the current sample shows 96 jobs found. You'll get a little box that says, don't miss out. New jobs are being added all the time. Save your search. Please do create yourself a search according to what you are currently looking for, and Handshake will begin to email you to your Mercer email address the opportunities that match the search criteria in this saved search. I highly recommend that. And as you can see on the screen, it says created job alert. So Handshake calls it a job alert. This will be very helpful to you. Here is a screen to really show you that there is an opportunity in Handshake to favorite or follow. I think the language is actually follow an employer. There's a star you can click. So when we talk about target employers for either an internship or a job search, and I believe Anne will talk about that target employer list in just a little while, you'll have an opportunity to come in Handshake and click the star to follow these target employers. I highly recommend this as a strategy for your search, because then you will begin to get emails anytime that employer has posted or has activity in Handshake. Excuse me. All right, so the other sort of Handshake smart strategy that I'll mention is the messaging feature that they have. Employers have messaging, but you also have peer-to-peer messaging among students. But there's a 257% increase in employers directly messaging in students during this pandemic time. So we know that virtual recruiting is on the rise right now, and Handshake is the go-to platform for any employer that's needing to do campus recruiting. That's an incredible percentage increase, and all the more reason to make sure that your profile is ready. Please do interact with recruiters thoughtfully and professionally in that messaging, and feel comfortable replying to them, knowing that they have a trust score with your career center and they are highly trusted and vetted before they can message you. In terms of peer messaging, I think it's a great strategy for you to seek advice from your fellow Mercer students and alumni, and using Handshake's reviews of employers. When you click the Students tab inside of Handshake, you'll see these features. So almost every day, a student or an alum will ask our team, you know, how will the pandemic affect my chances of a summer internship this summer? And I want to let you know there's a real message of hope in terms of the fact that these opportunities are still out there. Even though this landscape was unexpected, students are still being recruited. Again, the 250% increase in student messaging earlier points to this. I really love the 500 companies hiring students on Handshake right now list, which you can literally Google 500 companies hiring on Handshake, and you will find that list where Handshake is searching for those active recruiting companies for you, and you can go straight to that list to see these are employers that are recruiting now. And the shift to a digital presence is going to be key in networking right now. I spoke to you about that earlier when I mentioned LinkedIn. And just to have on your radar and be alerted to the change in the landscape with regard to virtual internships being a possibility, a great possibility, in fact, and virtual interviews for the opportunity that you seek. We know that those are largely all virtual right now. I ran a quick list this morning and learned that there are about 1,500 internships posted in Handshake today. Most of those are paid. These are located around the US. And of course, there's plenty of opportunities in Atlanta and in Georgia, and there's lots of opportunities that are looking for the different year levels. The deadlines range. Some of them have expired. So like, for example, if it had an expiration in January, but many more are still out there that are still set to expire in April or May. So please access that list as soon as you can if you're looking for this summer.
And Kim, if I can, we're almost to where I'm going to join you in this, but on that last slide, something that I think is important for you to know is, you know, never give up hope. And so it never fails that in May, when classes have sort of ended and your students kind of taking a break for summer, there's always a message going between the CCPD saying this amazing employer has this amazing internship. Do we have any students available?
Yes.
And you know, you've kind of checked out as a student because it's like, well, this didn't happen. I guess I'll do something else this summer. It's never over. It's truly never over. If you got an internship July 1, you could have 4 solid weeks and work that internship before you have to come back to class. And that's a wonderful experience. So I just keep that in mind of, don't ignore us. Don't ignore Mercer if your class isn't in session, because we often have opportunities that are crossing our desks.
Thank you for that. A great opportunity is a great opportunity, right, Anne? I appreciate that point. This is just a quick slide to alert you to another tool. Earlier, I talked to you about 2 career exploration tools. And here is a tool that lives inside your Handshake account under the resources category, and it's called Big Interview. And I won't spend a lot of time in today's webinar talking about this, but I've got to give you a quick commercial about it because it's a very powerful interview prep tool because it uses your webcam and lots of industry and general interview questions to prepare you for interviews. This is essentially a virtual mock interview tool. Okay, so you can come into Big Interview in your own time, in your own schedule, in the middle of the night if you wish, to prepare for your interviews. Using the webcam to give your responses to these questions is incredibly helpful because you're rehearsing, you're thinking through what you need to say, you're thinking about the examples that you need to share with employers to make your qualifications known. So I really recommend you check out Big Interview as soon as you can in your search to learn and practice. It's a free tool and it's provided to all Mercer students and alumni. Now, if you are a student participating in a summer internship this summer, this may be an unknown opportunity for you that Mercer University does provide a limited number of housing slots on our Mercer and Atlanta campuses for a reduced fee for those students who have landed an internship. We hope that this enhances the chances of you considering and taking an internship, for example, in Atlanta or in Macon, that you might not have otherwise been able to consider due to housing. The application deadline is coming up on March 30th. If you're interested in Mercer's housing opportunities, please apply quickly. The spots will fill, and this is a phenomenal opportunity. This application lives inside of Handshake, or you can give us a call if you need assistance with this process at all. I'm going to turn it over to you, Anne.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kim. And you've made so many wonderful points along the way. I have a feeling there's probably a number of questions. So we're going to do a deep dive into some of the things to do to really prepare for a search. And just as Kim said in the beginning, this is truly the same whether it's an internship or a job. I really wish, we all wish we could say to you that finding an internship is easier. Stakes are lower, it's easy. It really isn't. But the positive side of that is the work that you put in to find an internship will benefit you when you're looking for full-time employment. So employers approach internship and job search as something that's not just transactional. It's not just for the one job you applied for or internship. They approach it that this is the first point of communication that you're having with them. So on our first slide, an important thing to think about. So if you look at timeline and plan for your search, 38 days is an interesting number. So the average number of days passes between the job posting and the first interview. So something that happens all the time is a student will say, I applied, nothing happened. And I'll say, well, when did you apply? And they'll say, well, I applied 2 weeks ago. We just don't know what's going on behind the scenes on the other side. So it's not uncommon that there's going to be a big gap between when you apply and when you might even be called to schedule an interview. The other thing that I'm going to encourage you to do as part of this is, as much as right now you think, oh, I'll remember that I applied, I'll completely remember that job, you just won't. And it's not personal to you, it's all of us. So make sure you make a PDF of every job description that you apply to. It is very common that students end up with a call from an employer and the employer says their name a little too fast or they say the position a little too fast, and you feel really awkward asking them, can you tell me who you are again? Who are you? Oh, you're Google? Sorry, I didn't catch the name of your company when you first said it. So it helps to keep the PDFs of these jobs that you apply for. Many job boards will close or retract the actual job posting once they start their interviews. So it makes it difficult when you go to the interview and one of the first questions is, what appeals to you about this job? If you don't have that list of that specific job, then you're not going to give an answer that's as concise as you could. And it could come across as you're a little less interested than another candidate. So bear in mind that 38 days, you might not hear anything for a few weeks when you apply for a job. Job offers, an average of 25 days passes between a final interview and a job offer. So it is not uncommon that you go to that final presentation or final round. It's round 3, it's round 4. You could have talked to 15 people as part of this interview process, and then it seems like they disappear. And your initial thought is, oh, they didn't pick me. Well, I don't want to go there anyway. Well, now I'm hurt. So they don't seem like a good option. Try really hard not to do that. And this is a great time to connect with the CCPD, connect with your career counselors, because we can help you keep the enthusiasm up. That time in between, so many things could be going on inside that company. I'd love to tell you that what's going on is extremely sophisticated and that it's extremely well thought out. It probably is the opposite. It probably is someone went on vacation, and until that person gets to have their say, the entire process is halted. Or there is a split between 2 candidates and they just aren't coming to agreement. So they decide to book another meeting to discuss who the candidates are, and they can't get that on the calendar for at least another week, if not longer. Funding can be pulled from a job. The funding could increase on the job. So sometimes what happens, you go all the way through a final offer and nothing happens, but then you see the job reposted. So if you see the job reposted, don't take that as a sign of, well, I'm not the right candidate. Sometimes what happens is they're able to repost a job because, as I said, funding fell apart and they had to close the last search, or they got more funding or different responsibilities, or something changed with that exact post and they're reopening it up and they are going to start the search all over. Because of the number of people that apply to any one job, you're in a pool of, in most jobs with big companies, of hundreds of people, qualified people who are applying. There's very little communication from an employer about what's going on in the search. So it is not at all uncommon that you don't hear anything personally about job searches. So the lesson to take from this is it's the worst possible thing, right? It takes time and patience. It's time and patience. What's in your control during this time search is some of the tools we're going to show you next. This gives you a good amount of time for you to do things like really, really solidify answers to why you want that job. So some things in a job search that aren't helpful to you. If you have the I'll do anything, now that seems like it would be such a great answer. I'll come in here and I will take any job you have. No job's too big, no job's too small. Well, that doesn't really come across as a hero because the employer doesn't know you yet. So figuring out what is it that you are really enjoying doing in life? What are the attributes you have? What are the 3 things that people can say about you if they describe you? And then can we apply those to what can you do with those? So even if you can't name a job title right off the bat because you haven't done enough research yet, and we're going to show you how to do that research, it's important to say to an organization, you know, I'm really open to my next role. What I'd love is a role that really uses my communication skills. What I'd love is a role that really will utilize my ability to organize teams and produce results. Hopefully, when I gave you those examples, what came to mind were actual things you could think of. Yeah, a person who knows communication, I know something I can have them do. Somebody who just said, I can really work with teams and produce results. Oh, I wish you were on my last project team. Ah, we would have gotten a better grade. So giving people something solid is really helpful to the employer to visualize you in that position. So let's talk about identifying a list of target jobs and employers. This is also something where being too open initially won't let us focus to find the jobs that could be most applicable to us, that could use our skill set to our own advantage, that we enjoy this work the most, and that will demonstrate to the places where you do get asked to interview that you understand the industry and the job function that you are interviewing for. So let's talk about all of those things and how do you actually identify it? So before we're going to end up with a list, so that's great. If we can go back to that last slide for a second, Kim, thank you. So I have this target in front of me and I'm going to keep pointing at it. Now you can't see where I'm pointing, but that yellow circle. So when we're identifying a list of target jobs and employers, the ideal situation is being able to say, you know, I'm graduating from the School of Nursing. I want to do pediatric nursing and I want to do this for WellStar. Well, that's your yellow dot. Fantastic. You've got an actual job title and you've got an organization. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But then we move to the next ring. It might be that that red ring represents both pediatric jobs, but it also will represent WellStar or organizations similar to WellStar. The next ring outside of that could be, okay, how about if it's WellStar, but it's not pediatrics? That could be in the purple. Or what if it's pediatrics, but it's not at WellStar? Another ring on the outside of that could be job location. It might be that the job location is really critical for you. So it might be, you know what? My yellow center is actually someone else's white ring. The white ring might mean I'll move anywhere in the country for a job in pediatrics. But that might actually be for somebody no, I'm here in Atlanta, that's where I need to stay. I'm here in Middle Georgia, that's where I need to stay. So that is my yellow center. I need the employment to be based on geography. So you typically, when you're putting together this list of jobs and employers, geography is part of this too. So I want you to think about what are those 3 things that matter to you? Where, what location, what's the geography? Where do you want to work? Who do you want to work for? That's the employer, the who, the where, the who, and what. What do you want to do? What's the job function? Those are the 3 things that we're trying to identify. To do that, and we'll go to that next slide now, start with one of those. It might be an easy list if you can list your target locations, geography, the where. That might be easy. You might say, number 1, geographically limited, got to stay in the state of Georgia. Done. Congratulations, your list is completed. Now do a list of target employers. Usually when we start this list, we sort of look up and say, okay, let me think. My healthcare is through WellStar. There's also all these Emory clinics around. There's some rural clinics by Mercer. So that's good. And we kind of think about what we see, sort of what's out there. But what can be really helpful is what Kim talked about, Handshake. If you go into Handshake and you put in the word healthcare, look at all the different employers that over time have come in and have wanted to hire people that are in the healthcare industry. So we want to think about employers in an industry. What's the industry? Can you go to a professional association There's got to be, whatever you're studying, ask a professor. I went to a webinar. They said that I should ask you about what professional organizations you belong to, or are there ones that you think I should belong to because I'm heading into nursing? You can Google nursing professional organizations. You can do this for just about any industry or discipline, and you'll find something. This is a great targeted question for faculty. You can have a real conversation around this. It's also a great conversation for networking. What professional organizations do you recommend that I look into while I'm a student? Many professional organizations are going to be handing you on a silver platter a list of great organizations. Organizations that belong to professional organizations, what's great about that is it means that they're usually investing in their people. So that can be really positive. So finding a source of where do you find these employers, use Handshake. Try to find the professional organizations. The other thing that I will highly recommend is using LinkedIn. And we're going to go to our next slide. And as we talk about how to use LinkedIn, we'll be able to go to the next part too. So this comes into the time allocation of your search. And this is where where do you really spend your time and where do the results, where do they really come from? So one of the things that happens over and over with students is they come in and they say, I'm job searching. I have honestly applied to 100 jobs and I have not had one interview. It must be my resume. Might be, but my answer is it's probably not your resume. I want us to look at this time allocation. The largest section is this blue section for informational interviewing and networking. That is the part that nobody wants to do, but it's actually the part that is the most fulfilling and will propel you the farthest in a job search. And the reason for that is because people hire people they know. And that can be very discouraging when you hear that initially, because you think, but I've already asked everybody I know and nobody can help me get a job. But there's a huge network that I don't want you to take for granted. And that network is Mercer alumni. You have chosen to go to an institution where alumni really like to connect back with current students. You yourself, if I called you in 3 years and said, hey, I have a current student who's just where you are. They are trying to decide what to do. They're coming up short and with opportunities. Would you have 15 minutes to talk to them and tell them a little bit about the industry and what you do? I know all of you right now are nodding your heads and you're saying, I am happy to do that for somebody, because you know how much that would help you right now. Somebody who's not family, somebody who's not a friend, a professional person is going to give you some really clear answers on what's out there in the industries. So this is what informational interviewing is. And you can do that through start practicing on Handshake. That's what that whole connection piece is. Contact a fellow student and say, hey, could you just spend 15 minutes with me and tell me about that internship that you had? What did you like most about it? What do you think that you'll continue with that company? What was the best part of the company? What industry was that in? What did you learn about the industry? Just those questions could be plenty. So we can help you with that as CCPD. You'll see that applying, it just takes time. It's not hard, but you see that orange block, it takes time to apply for jobs. And you aren't going to be able to network for every single job you apply for. So one of the things that you might want to do is in this early research, seeking postings online, is part of your research is look at LinkedIn and see what alums do we have working at that organization. If we find that we have Mercer alums, then we might have an advocate who absolutely wants to help get another Mercer alum an opportunity for an interview. So it's really exciting and how we all get to work together. I'm going to go to our next slide. Application process. Significantly more difficult for mobile job seekers. It is. It is harder from your phone to apply as well. It's often not as successful for instant apply with organizations because it'll either just pick up a resume or a profile and you don't get to make it really special. So just know that if whenever possible, sit down at a desktop or a laptop, and you'll have more success as you apply. All right, setting apart from the competition, customizing a resume. You heard Kim say keywords. I'm going to give you a secret to keywords, and it is going to change your career search. It really is, that job search. Keyword search. I'm going to give you access to a free tool. If we can go to that next slide. All right. Oh, that's even better. Skill Syncer. All right, Skill Syncer. If you see in this page, there's step 1, paste your resume. Step 2, paste the job description. For 1 year, you can have a free subscription to Skill Syncer with a .edu email address, which is what you have with your Mercer email address. What happens is wonderful and horrible at the same time. You scan your resume and the job, and what it does is it gives you a score. And it says, Ann Kelly, you are a 50% match to this director of career service job at a college down the street. And I look at it and I say, but that's ridiculous. I'm a director of career services at my current job. Why wouldn't I be 100% match? I read the job description. I think I'm 100% match. But the key words, the words in that job description, I haven't used those exact words in my resume. So I tell all of my students this, and you have to hear me correctly, and we can always go back and validate this on YouTube. Plagiarize on your resume. You have to use the exact word. Do not plagiarize in your academics. And I am not kidding. Do not plagiarize in academics. Plagiarize your resume. I found that a lot of my peers were moving into jobs on sort of the opposite side of the aisle. They were heading into jobs in university recruiting for employers. And I was applying for these jobs several years ago, and nobody was picking up a phone and calling me. And even with networking, nothing was coming through. And it wasn't until I realized and learned about these applicant tracking systems and how you have to have the exact words. Well, I finally updated my resume with the exact words, and I got a call right away. And they said, we'd love to interview you for this. And they said, tell us about your management experience. And I said, absolutely. And I said, as a supervisor, I began supervising in 1994. And they said, hang on a second, where again is this in your resume? The interviewer could not see that the words supervisor and manager were synonyms. So I was being clever with my resume and flowery and unique with my language, but it didn't match the job description. So I want you to read the job description, use this tool, and try to pepper those into your resume. All right, we'll go to that next slide. All right, a to-do list. This is one of the last things we'll leave you with. There's a lot to do. I know. It's exercise. You got to look at this as exercise. Don't block 4 hours of your day and say, I'm going to work on career things. You'll never do it. No one will do it. Just 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day, and do one part of this list. This list won't be linear. Right when you figure out number 1, you are going to actually probably be in about number 7. And then you're going to discover something new. And all of a sudden you're going to realize, oh my goodness, I have a new idea of what I want to do. But that's okay, because every time you work through one of the steps on this list, you already know how to do it. So you aren't relearning it. So you become much faster and much more adept at working through this list, whether it's a new job, whether it's an internal transfer, whether it's a promotion. These types of steps are things that you'll have to keep doing. And number 11, you can't do that enough. Come and talk to us in career services. Sometimes you need us a lot. Sometimes you don't need us that much, but we are here, and that's what we're here for, is to help you to set these goals and achieve these goals. Next slide. All right, real quick, just Google yourself, see what comes up, If you need help and say, is this something that I should or should not have on there? We will not make that call for you, because there's a judgment and an ethics call on a lot of questions that you ask. But what we can tell you in the Career Center is we can give you guidance on here's how someone could potentially perceive this. So feel free to let us help you with that. Next slide, Handshake. I can't say it enough. The career fairs, the events that employers are holding, when you attend an employer event listed on Handshake, you honestly receive a gold star from the employer. And the employers gather gold stars and keep track of them. They track who shows up for those events. So the beauty of everything being online, there are employers that have never opened events to Mercer have opened their events to us. If you can't fully participate, if you don't feel like you can be all dressed and ready to go and camera on and smiling, that's okay. Those, our earbuds are our best friends. Just sign up, register for the event, log in, put that earbud in, and listen to it. The employer takes note of who showed up for that event, and it gets you one step closer. If you then apply to that company, they know you've had interest. They see that you're continually participating in what they have. So attend their events. By all means, attend the career fair. Your presence matters. It makes a big difference for you to be present. That level of engagement of just showing up matters. So don't underestimate that. All right, and with that, I'm going to have Kim join me, and I think we'd probably love to take some questions. Is that correct, Kim?
Let's see, I really just had this other slide. You want to talk about it or you want me to hit it?
You go ahead, because this is so critical.
Yeah, and I know you've worked with so many job seekers yourself, and just over the years that I have worked with job seekers, again, career launchers, career changers, advancers, all ages, all degree levels. I really just want to give just sort of a self-care message in terms of understanding really from the beginning of your search that rejection is a part of the process, and rejection is not personal. So we know that everything you apply to, won't result in a delivery of roses to your door. So that there'll be far more rejections than acceptances, but you just need one offer that you'll accept. Okay. So come into the job search understanding it is a process. There are a lot of things to do, but I loved Ann's tip about 20 minutes, because every time I try to tackle any task on my to-do list thinking I'm going to assign 4 hours to it, it doesn't get done. Life isn't that, it just isn't working that way. So 20 minutes, sit down, be productive, realize the results take a while, realize with the help of your career counselor or coach what your strategy is that you're doing right. We're happy to affirm you again and again, or steer you back into your lane if that's what happens. But just practice self-care, being kind to yourself and understanding that these things take time. Unfortunately, it is really a reality that if you think that you're going to land the job of your dreams in 2 weeks, that is not practical at all. So I'm sorry I can't make a fluffier message for you there, but do practice self-care, be kind to yourself and understanding the process, and that a rejection is inevitable, I'm sorry to say.
And if I can add to that, one other point along the way of self-care, you get to give yourself a gold star for what you've done. So we put too much emphasis on the job offer and starting that job day one, as that is my symbol of success in a career search. You can't make anyone talk to you. You can't make an employer interview you, but you do get a gold star every time you apply for a job. You get an even bigger gold star if you reach out to someone to say, if you had a few minutes to connect, I'd love to learn about what you do at your organization and in your job. You get the big star for reaching out. You can't make that person talk to you. So everything in your control is where you get to gain all of these gold stars. And they will, I say to students, I know this isn't exactly what you want to hear, but you will have a job. We just don't know where or when. And I know those are the two things you really want to know, but that's what the patience is about. It's finding this where and when.
All right, so we've got our social media page up, and I'm going to let Cindy talk about that.
Great. Thank you, Anne and Kim, for this wonderful presentation. Just a quick reminder that you can follow us on all social media channels. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. A video of this recording will be up later this week on our YouTube channel. It's very simple to find us. Our handle is @MercerCCPD. Doesn't get much easier than that. As I mentioned earlier, if you do have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat box. I do want to mention too that we do offer virtual and phone appointments are available. So you can schedule an appointment with any of us in Handshake. As you can tell, we love Handshake in this office. So go ahead, mercer.joinhandshake.com is how you can connect with us and schedule a virtual or a phone appointment. While I have you guys here, I'm going to take a screen over because I do want to plug a couple more things before we get to questions. So just quickly, we do have another webinar coming up this month. Anne did mention the importance of joining a professional association. And guess what? We have a webinar just about that. That is happening next week on Thursday, March 25th from 4 to 5 p.m. You can register for that in Handshake, and it'll be just this format again in Zoom. And I do have one more thing to share. We have our, here it is. We do have the GACE Career Fair coming up. Here is the website for that. It will be on Wednesday, April 7th. It is a virtual fair, and we'll have with almost 300 college and employer members for GACE. I'm not sure the exact number of employers that will be there yet, but it will be a virtual fair. You can find that by coming up here to gace.org and clicking on the virtual statewide career fair. And just go here for students, and this is how you register. It is, of course, free for students to attend. So please, if you are in that job search, this is a great, easy fair for you to get to.
And I believe every year that is the state's largest career fair. So don't let that intimidate you because you won't have to walk in there this year. It'll be online.
That's the beauty of virtual fairs, right? Exactly. Well, does anyone have any further questions? I know we're a little over time. We're almost right at an hour, and I want to be mindful of everyone on our webinar today of your time. So if you do have anything, please let us know. And again, I want to thank Anne and Kim for their expertise in everything job and internship searching. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And just to remind you, the statewide college career fair with GACE is April 7th. Completely virtual, 10 to 4. gace.org. I hope you'll attend that one. It's the best career fair of the year in the state. Thank you guys for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you all.